Regan's only 2 races where he finished outside of the top 5 this season were both unusual circuits, Bristol Dirt and COTA. Knowing that, with Charlotte being almost archetypal in its nature, it seems likely that it should prove no problem for him. But a driver can never quite count his chickens until they hatch, and he must seal it up tonight with a solid finish. Will the racing gods smile upon him? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 9 of the PRL NASCAR Cup Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Christian Challoner. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Charlotte is perhaps one of the most well-known and popular of the ovals in the North America. But in case our audience hasn't been introduced yet, let's head to our track guide.
Welcome everybody to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Even though it was built more than 4 decades ago, drivers still love to race at this 1.5-mile quad-shaped oval. Located just a short 13-mile drive from downtown, Charlotte also shares a similar track shape to what you would see at the Texas Motor Speedway and the Atlanta Motor Speedway as well. Despite turns 1 and 2 having the same banking as turns 3 and 4, the 2 ends of the speedway could not drive any different. Turn 1 and 2 are much more of a sweeping corner, really carrying the speed down into the corner and trying to get that whole shot out of turn 2 down the backstretch. Turns 3 and 4 drive much tighter than 1 and 2, really having to get the car to rotate in the middle of 3 and 4 to make your entry and your exit point. Getting a lap in around here in one piece usually requires some calm nerves and a patient foot. Charlotte was one of the first speedways to install lights around the facility, giving night racing a whole new berth. Charlotte is also known for its place in the perfect day of racing every Memorial Day, acting as the caboose after the Monaco Grand Prix and the Indianapolis 500. If Daytona is the pinnacle of NASCAR racing, then Charlotte has to be just a bumper behind. Fans flock to the largest sports facility in the Southeast and NASCAR's home track. This has been our guide to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Well, Christian, for many teams, this is essentially the home court. Do you think that'll translate to today as well with our drivers?
It's possible. I mean, it's 1.5 miles, so you'd think that's kind of par for the course in any NASCAR series, but it's actually a very, very difficult 1.5 miles, to be honest. It feels very narrow. It's not especially narrow, but it feels very narrow. Getting the car to turn down to the bottom in 3 and 4 is always extremely challenging at this racetrack, and the entry and exit banking transitions are really, really extreme. So it's a big challenge, especially setting up the car and also just making sure that you hit the line perfectly. As I said, especially through 3 and 4, it's really, really difficult, but it's quite a challenging 1.5 miles, that's for sure. And 24 degrees of banking, yeah, it's pretty fast too.
So we should hopefully see plenty of speed out here today. Before we get to that speed, let's talk about our sponsors, because today's race is brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net. The PRL NASCAR Cup Series is also brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. So into the final round of the season, and the points championship sees Richard Regan Jr. a full 21 ahead of Matthew Long. So he's got a pretty comfy margin, but as we said, he does still have to try and take it home to a decent finish. Now, won't take much because it looks like we don't have too many drivers out here today. From there on back, because of the lack of drivers, it's looking doubtful that drivers such as O'Brien and Acosta can manage to score enough points because they would have been a long shot with a full field. Bradley Hollies, shockingly as well, is in 5th and quite a decent ways back, already mathematically eliminated from this season's championship. I believe you have the team's championship, though, Christian.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a similar story in the team's championship. Private label Team Hype have a 139-point lead. That's overturned tonight, so I would definitely call that and say Private label Team Hype have won this first quarter championship. James Bird Racing, 139 back, but they're having a tight battle actually for that second spot. SG eSports is only 3 points behind, so that can definitely go either way. Car Ramrod is 169 points back from our championship winners. And they have a very outside shot, I would say, of jumping higher up tonight with What About Racing Black in 5th, 179 points back.
And of course, for our race details, we have 145 laps here to compete in. I know I said round 9 in the intro. It is round 10 out of 10 that we're running. No spare car, so if you get damage, you got to just deal with it and try and get it repaired as best you can. Open setup series as opposed to the fixed setup trucks that we have midweek, so very different in how the drivers can potentially find speed here. They have a 24 incident limit, which means once they hit 24, they were actually disqualified from the race. And don't forget, they have only 4 sets of tires throughout the race, including the ones that they start on. So watch out for those tire changes and how the pit stops play out amongst the teams. We, I believe, have just a few minutes left in our warm-up, just about 3.5 minutes to go. Then we're off to qualifying, 2 laps to try to set their fastest lap, which will also give two of the bonus points here this evening. And there is our champion, who's hoping for that to help push him farther away of anybody's reach. His stats are impressive this season. As I mentioned earlier, Christian, only 2 races that he did not finish within the top 5.
Yeah, and I can't say I'm really surprised, if I'm honest. This is pretty much standard deal for Richard Wigan Jr., so I expect to see him in contention for the win here tonight. Obviously back to a 1.5 mile oval. Was a little bit surprised to see him kind of fall back at the road course at Coda. That was kind of a bit of a shock, but I suspect tonight normal service will be resumed.
Yeah, and we say fall back. I mean, he finished 6th. That's still a solid finish. So he can't be too horribly disappointed considering the position it has put him in. The driver chasing him from 3rd in the points won the last 2 rounds, Abner Acosta. He's in the pits, but this is 2nd place in the points, also chasing him, James O'Brien, who, as we mentioned, is quite the long shot, but I'm sure he'll be hustling, trying to do the best he can to take his 2nd win of the season here today. Holly actually sitting both 5th in points and 5th on track leading into this thing. The good news is, I suppose, Christian, is looks like the weather is working out quite good for them, and it's only going to get colder as we're running a twilight race this evening.
Yeah, 7 p.m. time in the sim right now, so obviously just going to get colder as it goes on, and hopefully we'll actually see the lights come on. That'll be pretty cool. But yeah, 87 Fahrenheit track temperature, that's almost as grippy as it gets, I would say. So there's yeah, if you've got a problem with the car starting out tonight, that's probably not going to resolve itself. It's not as though we're going from baking hot sunshine through into the night. We're going from an already pretty cool situation through into one that'll only get slightly colder.
Just about 1.5 minutes to go now. Now, I'm not sure what is going on with Elliott White, the 27. As Abner just parks it at the exit of pit lane. There's Elliott, though, running 23rd. And normally when that happens, Christian, I tend to look at the practice times and see if somebody maybe just hasn't been out for many laps. You know, they've only done a couple or something. And he's done a good couple dozen of laps. So I'm not sure why White is put himself at the very back of the field here.
Yeah, I don't think that that's a true reflection of his pace, if I'm honest. But as you say, obviously, He's got out there in the first couple of laps and whatnot have not been kind to him. The tire drop off is quite extreme, so if you don't hit a good lap at kind of the beginning of the run, then that's potentially why he's back there. There's all speculation. I hope that's the case. Anyway, obviously we've seen him be very strong throughout the season, and I definitely would expect to see him further towards the front than this.
Gonna take a glance over at Holly again, who's just pulling off at turn 1 and parking it. That'll probably be it for his not qualifying, his warm-up rather, as we've only got about 30 seconds left. And Abner Acosta going for quite a ride down through turn 3. Not damaging the car, but again, it's sort of pointless here in the warm-up session where you can just hop in a new one pretty quickly. Only 23 cars have showed up. Unless we get a whole lot more in qualifying, that means that it's not impossible, but extremely unlikely that we'll see O'Brien able to overtake Regan. Regan will have to wreck out very early, and then O'Brien will have to take probably a few bonus points as well as win the race to really seal it up. Here comes the qualifying session. It looks like who's going to be our first one out? I think Patrick Cowgill looks to be the most eager.
Yeah, and quite a difficult track to actually qualify at, just because the pit exit is quite difficult here. It's very, very rough actually down here on the apron, and you have to make sure you don't cross over the blue line before you get to this cone on the backstretch, and there you go. And that's actually surprisingly easy to do, and we probably need to watch out for that during the race as well, because if there is green flag pit stops, I strongly suspect there will be tonight, there is a high chance of inadvertently crossing that line and picking yourself up a penalty, so that's something to look out for.
Down to start his first flyer. We watch the onboard, one of 2 that we have this evening. Patrick Cowgill looking into the apex, riding a bit of a middle line here, it looks like.
Yeah, I would expect that the first lap is probably not going to be at full speed just because of how you kind of come onto the backstretch. So I think most of these drivers are going to be going faster on their second lap. We'll just have to see, and that's probably why they're kind of running the middle. But it is pretty difficult to actually get the car to hook the bottom of the racetrack, and you really have to actually roll out of it a lot earlier than you think, because if you're even slightly too late, the car just it never turns down the track. It's kind of one of those strange mile and a halves where if you miss it by a little bit, the felt effect is really great, and you just wash like a half to a full car width up off the bottom of the track, and then you know at that point that the lap is just done.
All right, here's what we expect will be the flyer. Patrick already been shuffled to second. The 30 flat becomes a 29.7. Still won't get him up to pole. Trent Dinkle is quicker with a 29.645, who is 0.03 off for his second lap. Matthew Long now pushing himself to the pole position. And our challenger for the championship, James O'Brien, just started his first flyer in the 9. We're watching Scotty Johnson come across, as well as Adam Zemke. Adam on his second lap as a 29.743.
Yeah, a lot of drivers at the moment kind of clustered in that 29.7 to 29.8 bracket.
What about O'Brien? Second place in the points, a 29.4. Will put him into the pole, actually. Wow, so James O'Brien coming out swinging. Will we get somebody else trying to take that away from him? Now, we saw Baron Hilton be incredibly fast in the trucks here, but he didn't get the race to show it. Kind of curious where he is going to put that 47 car as we look at Jose Acosta. Let's see if the 42 is quicker on his second time pass. Yeah, about 0.2 faster. 29.7 will put him into 7th.
I'll start on his first lap here.
And that is a 29.451. That is good enough for the front row just next to James O'Brien. We're still waiting for Regan Jr. to set a time. He's just coming out onto the track now, so that thing still has to get warmed up and up to speed. But Bradley Holly, I think, is on his first flyer. We turn our attention to the 184 off of turn 4. Let's see what it's like across the line. And it looks like a 29.798. That is definitely not typical, Bradley. So he'll slot into 9th. Ooh, and Abner Acosta Acosta just took the pole away at 29.408, faster than by 0.02 of a second over James O'Brien.
Yeah, very, very tight there. I was actually surprised that it wasn't a bigger margin than that. If he ran a 29.4 on his first lap anyway, to run only marginally quicker on the second is a little bit surprising. I thought he was going to absolutely crush it.
Holly, good enough for fourth on his second lap with the 29.5. And then Regan Jr. in the 46. Here it is, first time lap. What's it going to be? It is a 29.499. That will get him up into fourth place, bumping Bradley Holly down. Second row on the first lap. You were talking about how those second ones are quicker, although he looked very loose coming off a 2.
Yeah, you can lose a little bit, just kind of scrubbing some speed on the exit there, but I'm looking for maybe a 29.3 here. It looks like he's hooked the bottom pretty good in 3 and 4. Oh, washed up just a little bit towards the exit.
As he crosses the line, it is not faster, slower by 0.2 of a second. I think Joao Guerra, our last one, no, not able to take a time because we're going to run out of it. Qualifying is now over. Okay, just save for a couple cars that did not set a time. Most of the field has been across, so up on the pole, it will be Abner Acosta with James O'Brien starting in second. Matthew Long will be P3 today as Richard Regan Jr. starts from fourth. Bradley Holly will be behind him in P5, and Brandon Walter will be sixth. Then on the next row, you've got Trent Dinkle in seventh, Adam Zimke in eighth. Patrick Calgill will start ninth, and rounding out the top 10, it's Charles Sumner.
Jose Acosta lines up in 11th with Michael Witt alongside him in 12th. Baron Hilton, we talked about him a little bit, but he's back there in 13th, so not transferring that pace across from the truck, it seems. Robert Bisso Jr., driver for SUE eSports, is back there in 14th. He's going to want to be higher up than that if they want to climb up in the team's championship. Colton Lane is next row back in 15th with Thomas Robertson 16th alongside him. James Durr and Scotty Johnson, the last two drivers to actually set qualifying times in 17th and 18th. Elliott White, we are totally unknown on his pace, so it's going to be interesting to see if he moves forward here. He's starting 19th with Cervantes alongside him in 20th. Then we have Pat Harvey, David Wilson Jr., and Joao Guerra lining up at the rear end of the field.
Interesting stat about Acosta. This is his second pole of the season, and they both happened back-to-back, just like his first two wins, except in this case, it was at COTA, and then we have this one here at Charlotte. So definitely proving he knows how to be quick this season. It's coming in. Wonder if he will start to fully challenge for the championship come next season. I believe we've got some onboards as well. We looked at least one of them with Calgill. Let's see if we want to run through those. Looks like Besaw Jr. going to be our first one up here in his game room. There you see him just getting it all ready with that motion rig. Bradley Holly back once again. Got to see him racing in the trucks earlier this week. Saw quite a bit of emotion out of that one too as well. He does look a little bit tired this one as we tune in with him. Then we've got Dinkle after that, ready to go. The sun's setting not just in the sim, but for him just outside the window. And I believe we have Regan Jr. up next. And Regan trying to wrap up his championship. And of course, Patrick Calgill, last one that we already saw. We got one pace lap around here, so hopefully they've got the cars ready to go. And then we are on our way for 145 laps here around Charlotte Motor Speedway. Can Abner Acosta make this a three-peat here? Can he really show himself to be one to fear today? He was quicker than two of the main drivers we typically look towards for winning pace, Regan Jr., Bradley Holly. And of course, the big mystery of what happened to Elliott White, both in the warm-up and the qualifying, as the Mustang pace car gets ready to unleash Abner. There he's in, the number 5 waiting on it, giving it quite a bit of time. Looking for the green flag, it waves, and he accelerates away. Away we go at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Not the best of starts as James O'Brien to his outside is going to be able to hold there Is he going to start to fall back now that they come through 1 and 2? Looks like that longer line not quite working with him not being up to speed yet, but he gets a good shot off the corner, already defending to the inside. The 28 of Matthew Long gets shut out by Acosta.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to see everybody kind of diving down, trying to get to the bottom line here. The top line is definitely viable. We've got an incident further back in the field. There's a big wreck, actually, on the exit of turn 4.
Thomas Roberts, I see, involved in this. He's stuck in the fence, actually. He's going to get a little loose, and oddly enough, Elliott White is the one that's going to make contact with him.
Yeah, well, that's a bit of an interesting incident right there, but Elliott White getting involved with that. Nothing obviously to do with his own incident right there. He was just trying to avoid the 94 coming down from the wall, but there was a secondary incident happening up ahead that looked like it kind of was the same thing.
It's Hilton.
Like Baron Hilton.
Yeah, Hilton and Witt. It was pretty much exactly the same thing. It was a carbon copy, except in this case, neither car fully wrecked. They just made pretty hard side-to-side contact. Here, you'll see it out of 4. So coming into 3, the 28, I mean, in exactly the same spot, way up high, car gets loose, Hilton at the bottom gets smacked, and both of them just continue on. So it looks like Hilton's going to come into pit lane. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's a little bit surprising to see an incident so early on in the race. Obviously, it's actually quite a long race, 145 laps around here. So one of the longer races for the season, I believe. And yeah, I mean, the top line is definitely competitive around here, so you can hold on up there. So not too surprising to see drivers trying to do that, but a little bit surprising to see a couple of cars obviously very loose through 3 and 4 on that first lap.
Looks like all 4 that were involved have come into pit lane to take repairs. Hilton, Witt, White, and Roberts. White is able to get going, Witt and Hilton too, but Roberts with that huge thud into the wall and then getting trapped in the fence is having to wait for much of the car to be fixed for him to have a hope of getting back out on track. Okay, we're gonna get it restarted soon. See if the pace lights go off this time. Acosta's still leading, and O'Brien will be starting next to him. I was a bit surprised to see Acosta defend that aggressively on the very first lap, shutting the door at the bottom of the backstretch like that.
Yeah, I just don't think that he wanted to be 3 wide that early on, and it was just making obviously a very firm closing of the door right there to Matthew Long, making sure that he wasn't going to end up in the middle. And I can understand that if you're going to be in a 3 wide, to be honest, the place you really don't want to be is in the middle. You don't really have control of anything if you are.
That point. So maybe precautionary measures there from the 5, and we are going to get racing next time by as they start to double up. 22 of our 23 starters, however, will only be able to retake the start. Poor Roberts looking like he's only going to have 1 on the board for quite some time, if not only that 1 lap for the remainder of this race. Sun continuing to set here. Been getting some gorgeous shots from Dougie Beard, and not much change in the temperature yet, but there is still much of the race yet to go, so that could still change. All right, so into turn 3. Will we get a bit of a cleaner start through 3 and 4? It was all looking good through 1 and 2, and then 2 separate spinning cars on the second half of the track. Maybe everybody just getting used to some cold tires and the way they handle on their setup early in the stint. The 9 is raring to go. You could see O'Brien maybe getting the brakes and tires a little bit warmed up here, hoping that he can get an edge as the pace car pulls in. This time it's a very quick jump from Acosta, and he is away in single file immediately before they even get to the line.
Yeah, so last time he held everybody for quite a long time, all the way up until the green came out. This time, immediately jumping out, getting everybody single file pretty much all the way through the field, like, aside from a couple of stragglers on the top side by the exit of turn 2.
Stragglers is Bradley Hawley, and it's Richard Regan Jr. who is to his inside. They're fighting for 4th place. This is looking a little bit more calm than our first start. He's finally going to be able to get in behind the 46.
And I do expect to see some passes being made on the top side, especially as we get deeper into the run. This is a track which will really kind of chew up tires if you push too hard at the beginning. So gonna keep an eye on Abner Acosta. We've kind of talked about it a little bit in terms of tire management and whatnot, and how much better he's gotten throughout the season at it. This will be a good test, I would say.
Speaking of the test, there was a little test from the 28 of Matthew Long to the inside of O'Brien. Didn't quite work out, and he fell back through 3 and 4, but he did get a nose underneath him. Richard Regan Jr. early on setting the fastest lap of the race. Seen just almost investigative moves here from some of our front runners. Another try there from Long. Is he going to be able to keep it in this time? It looks like it. Touches the bottom just a bit, drifts up, and he can't complete the pass.
Yeah, lost a lot of momentum right there as well. And that's one of the difficulties in if you try and make a pass with this high downforce package, that if you lose momentum because you don't pull the pass off, then it hurts you, and then you're the one being passed because everybody's so close.
Oh, can't tell if O'Brien got loose or what, but he suddenly went down to the bottom, and then when he went back up, there was Long, who got chopped off. Long's been dealing with Richard Regan Jr., who tried to make a pass into one before. Ooh, a little touch to the outside from O'Brien. Just scraped the wall coming off of 4. As Regan Jr. and Long continue to run side by side for this third position. Things picking up very early, and once again, Regan Jr. weaving down to the inside.
There's a lot of aggression for so early on in the race. Obviously, everybody wants track position and whatnot, but this is, we're not even 10 in, and we've already got quite a lot of contact for not even the lead.
And mostly seems to be this second place battle, second or third, that 3 different drivers want, and only one can have, and it's going to be Regan for now. So he moves up into P2. O'Brien under challenge from Matthew Long down to his inside. This has all been watched by Bradley Hawley behind them. We're on board him, getting a view of his face, seeing how, if he reacts at all, as he tends not to. Is usually so cool and collected. Choosing the high side, thinks he's going to follow O'Brien through there, maybe? No, he's going to try and duck back down low, get in front of the 501 of Dinkel, and that'll give him a good shot off the corner, but he has to catch it a bit.
Yeah, and he's in that kind of awkward position where he's got 2 cars ahead of him that might actually be slower than he is right now, but because they're basically blocking the whole track for him, he doesn't have much choice but to try and guess who's going to get the advantage and pick the right lane to go with. He's looking at the top side this time, the 28, just losing out a little bit here. Holly's going to be to his right rear on entry, but he's going to run up. The 9 just checks up a little bit in the middle of the corner.
Speed not there for O'Brien like it is for Bradley Hawley. Almost seems that is what's costing him the most in this fight, just to get into third position. This is all happening well behind Acosta, which normally I would say is good for Acosta, but we keep harping on it. His early run pace is so quick, and then he pays for it later. I hope this is not the same thing again.
You can definitely see Richard Regan Jr. doesn't look like he's pushing too hard. He's kind of okay with allowing Abner Acosta to get away from him. He wants to be at the head of this pack, but it doesn't look like he's really intent on running him down immediately.
Little up to the back of the 9 from the 184, and as much as he may have wanted to cut down, the 28 of Long was underneath him briefly through 3 and 4. Now they once again get single file. So your order is Acosta leads, then it's Regan, O'Brien, Hawley, and Long down to 5th. But they're also towing along quite a few other quick drivers. Dinkel, Cowgill, Walter, Zemke, and Sumner are still with them.
Yeah, and Dinkel's been another one of the drivers throughout the season who's been particularly impressive. Obviously, back at Coda, he had that incident on the first lap, dropped him a lot of positions, but then just kind of charged through the field for the rest of the race.
Doesn't have to charge as much this time, at least where he sits right now. He's going to get by Long, and he's going to bring a friend, Patrick Cowgill, on the bottom side. Continues to make Long suffer. Not sure what's going on with the 28, but maybe it's that momentum you talked about, Christian, that drivers keep attacking him and he has no chance to really collect himself.
Yeah, it was very, very aggressive at the beginning of this run, so I don't think he would have hurt his tires that badly to this extent, but yeah, the momentum deal is definitely a thing, and if you get shuffled out of line and you get stuck out of line, it's very, very difficult to actually kind of stop that sort of slow fall back through the field.
We're running two different lines there, but not side by side through 1 and 2. Love seeing the variety of lines that are honestly available here at Charlotte ever since some of the more recent builds that has opened up the track and given many different grooves for the drivers to pick and choose from. So finally settling out here a little bit up at the front. Looks like this battle maybe has found its level. Let's go back to Elliott White because he started to pick a few people off. He's up to 16th. He just overtook Durr. And this is a good sign, although Durr is now going right back underneath him and going deep into the corner, almost drifting into the side of White.
Yeah, and obviously surprised to see White this far back in the first place, but I don't know how much damage he's going to be carrying. Obviously, he was hit quite hard at that initial first lap incident, and I don't think he would have got it all fixed under caution.
I don't like the way that 55 is running on that bottom side. Once again, nearly getting into White. That causes him to drop back. Scotty Johnson will take advantage in the 07 and get himself into 17th position. Now the 55 going to lose another potentially. No, into the wall goes Wilson Jr.
And just a little bit too hot on the top right there and just kind of just slowly drifted up into the fence.
With very, very light touch. But sometimes the high line gets a little too high. And doop. Ooh, oh, hit it a few times for good measure. That's not good.
Yeah, I imagine he'll be okay from that one. Obviously, did get into it a couple of times, but not too heavy. The car looks predominantly okay, but I imagine that's going to kind of make him a little bit more cautious of trying that through 3 and 4 for the rest of the race.
Like Charles Sumner trying to see if he can pry 8th out of Brandon Walter. He's been trying on either side. Off of turn 2, doesn't have quite the momentum that the 99 does. This is actually quite a decent pack of cars. Cowgill is up in front of them in 7th. And they've also got Zemke and Acosta, Jose Acosta behind them, getting involved in it. Down at the bottom, the 99 almost looked like he had a shot underneath Patrick Cowgill for a brief moment, but speed wasn't there, and the 98 is going to come back at him on the high side with a whole chunk of momentum. Here comes Sumner around the hard way, and does he have it? He's up to 8th. He's got a nose ahead, but he's got to seal the deal now.
I think he might have it on the exit of 4 if he can just get a good drive off the corner. He's clear at the moment. Does snap it back down the track and takes the position.
8th place now for Charles Sumner, as the 57 of Zemke thought he could maybe try and do the same thing. Oh, it's not only not working out, but the 42 of Jose Acosta is going to try and take advantage of it. Jose, unfortunately, is not finding that bottom line as quick as he imagined. And so the 3 thinks he might now utilize that. And the chain reaction continues to ripple down the field.
Yeah, there's a big group of cars right here, and there's just really no lanes open for anybody to use. As soon as you kind of pick a new one to try, there's somebody else there. Oh, the 3 big contacts on the entry of 1 right there with the 42.
Let's take another look at that. Esau Jr. almost looks like maybe the 42 was trying to turn down. Didn't realize that the 3 was taking a wider entry.
Now yeah, that definitely looks like what happened there, but there is a concern of a really large bump on the entry of 1. It's quite a strange corner, actually. It feels like you're kind of driving up the hill to go immediately back down the hill as you drop into the turn. So there's kind of a bit of self-steer from the track through there, which makes it difficult to run too wide at the best of times.
Esau's on board with his VR rig looking into the corner, looking down to the apex. And they're just coasting it in there. Ahead of him, it's an interesting battle going on between Cowgill and Sumner right now for the 7th position. So Charles is on a bit of a charge, and Cowgill is going to be his next victim if he can complete it. They've been side by side for about a lap and a half, maybe 2 now. Oh, but Cowgill brushing the wall, tries to keep it out of the 98. Thankfully does so. Loses all kinds of speed. The 99 sees it. Says, I'll take that, thank you very much.
Nearly got up into the left rear of the 98 through 3 and 4 right there, though. Had to drop back, and now he's alongside Cowgill.
Oh, so Cowgill does not lose the position. That is a bit surprising. Walter thought he for sure had that one wrapped up. Cowgill retains 8th position. Sumner up to 7th. If he wants to take anybody else, it'll take a bit more work, as he's got about a 2.5 seconds up to Matthew Long, who seems to have stopped his bleeding at 6th place. All of them down through 3 and 4 to start lap 27 now. And Sumner appears to be pulling away, so he does have quite good pace compared to that pack.
Yeah, it took a little bit to get through the pack, but now it does look like he has the pace, and actually, it looks like Patrick Cowgill's the one who's kind of got the slow bleed going on. As a wicked moment on the exit of turn 2 for Jose Acosta.
Number of cars looking like they're just having a hell of a time here. And Cowgill, did Cowgill brush the wall into 3 there? What caused him to suddenly go backwards like that?
Like he got in very, very deep, and if he didn't grab the wall, then he was very close to it. That was a huge momentum loss, and now he's trying to get himself back in ahead of Bissau Jr.
Gonna ride with Cowgill here for a bit. See what he's feeling. As he slots in behind Zemke. Down below him is the 3 of Bissau. Bissau recovering from his scary moment coming into one a few laps ago where he got shoved down to the apron. Thankfully collected it, didn't hit anything else.
See a little bit of right front damage on the 3 car, but doesn't seem to be hurting him too much.
Not at all. But whatever is hurting Patrick Cowgill is causing him to lose positions. He's now down to 11th from that. A little bit farther up, we haven't looked at them in a bit, but Hawley has settled into 4th. Dinkle's been riding with him. They're separated by just about half a second. Other than that first caution, we've been clean and green. But when are we expecting? Actually, I think I have information on the stops. I heard 50 laps, we're thinking, for most drivers.
That sounds about right. I think the maximum you can get to is about 60 to 62 laps on the fuel. So with how early that caution was, that's still not shortened the distance enough to make a one-stop viable. So I still expect to see 2 green flag stops here.
184 holding station at 4th, about 4.5 seconds behind our leader, Acosta. Now, in spite of our worries that maybe he was using up his stuff too quickly, Acosta's still about 1.5 seconds ahead of Richard Regan Jr. And I don't think Regan's been, he hasn't really been running laps that are all that quicker if they are at any point. So it seems like they're evenly matched.
Very evenly matched, but also not evenly matched with the rest of the field. I've kind of been keeping an eye on it, and they're in the region of 1.5 to 2 a lap faster than everybody else. So it's kind of a 2-car battle between this pair.
Yeah, O'Brien back by 2.3 seconds currently, and we're not even close to a quarter of the way through this race yet. So the number 5 retaining control for the time being. He's going to lap James Durr pretty soon, but he won't have any more lap traffic after that, as Durr, for some reason, has gone a lap down. Let's go back to Zemke. And he is trying to chase down Bissau in that number 3, 9th position here that these two are tussling for. And Bissau has actually been steadily chipping away at this pack. He's started in 14th. He's now up to 9th, a gain of 5. Might be one of our best gains of those who actually qualified, because all our other hard chargers appear to be mostly drivers who did not put a time in.
Yeah, and he and Brandon Walter are actually running really good pace right now. The pair of them are kind of cutting the way through this pack, and they're actually quicker than a couple of drivers in the top 5. They're quicker than Bradley Holly and Trent Dinkle right now, so we'll have to see if they can run them down.
Getting some information that Durr pitted on lap 29. So, looks like 15 seconds. So, yeah, that may have been a scheduled stop. And I see Michael Witt in now as well as we hop on board with Trent Dinkle. Now, he was trying to chase down Holly, but that seems to have unfortunately gone away from him. And he's playing defense on Long instead.
Yeah, he must have made a mistake on that last lap because he was about 4/10 off the pace.
So not sure if he brushed the wall or what happened there. And now the 28, who appears quite a bit quicker, is all over that rear bumper. But we're seeing a few drivers maybe trying to take alternate pit strategy here. Some of them a little bit farther down, maybe aiming for something of a reverse strategy. Hard to tell.
It's definitely going to give them a little bit of an advantage, especially if there's a caution after the first round of pit stops. But it's going to bite them in the late race, that's for sure. They're trying to now. Ooh, a little bit of contact right there. 501, just not giving the room.
Wow, and the 28 drifted up. He's very lucky that he had the space he did. Dinkle almost got turned by him. And Charles Sumner sees all this happening, spies an opportunity. I said it'd take him a bit to get up there to Long. Well, wasn't quite as much of an effort as I anticipated with the battling that we just witnessed. He gets rebuffed through 3 and 4. So can Long start to recover and keep Sumner from adding him to his list of overtaken cars?
Yeah, this is going to bring in a couple of those drivers that we're talking about. Bissau Jr. and Walter are now in this mix. And yeah, a pretty aggressive defense there by Trent Dinkle, forcing the 28 Matthew Long all the way down to the apron. And very lucky that Long was actually able to slow it down enough so that when he did end up drifting back up the track, he didn't drift straight back up into Dinkle.
Got a little curious on what was happening with White, and he's up to 13th right now as we continue to watch this battle on screen. There we see White now as well. And his laps don't appear to be quicker than our leaders, but they're not too much slower. So I'm not expecting him to charge up to the front and try and vie for the win. But I think a top 10 is at least looking doable. Yeah, you can see Acosta quicker most of the laps, except for one aberrant one there on lap 38. That must have been traffic or something, I'm guessing.
And White just not really moving up through the field that quickly. Obviously still back there in 13th spot. But there's this big battle going on around Trent Dinkle is still going on, and Charles Sumner has actually fallen to the back of this line now.
Yeah, it got a little tight out there on the track and unfortunately had to fall to the back of the group. Oh, Bissau Jr. going to be able to get to the inside of Long, denying him the ability to get down to the bottom. So as they come through 1 and 2, can he finish this up? Yes, it looks like he can. The 3 puts himself into 6th position, up from 14th.
He's really been on the move. He's going to be inside the top 5 shortly. And yeah, you see there, Trent Dinkle's round up to the top side of the track. Bissau Jr. just puts so much more momentum and turn. He's going to clear him before he gets to turn 1.
That car looks mighty good on a long run. Just picking him off bit by bit, although down into the bottom line, not quick into the corner, looking quick off as he regains that back, and a big wobble from both the 501 and the 99. Both save it. We are getting closer towards the end of a stint. I wonder if the driver is starting to feel it a little bit.
I would definitely say that the 501 of Trent Dinkle he's really struggling right now. He looks incredibly tight, especially through 3 and 4. He's just not able to rotate the car to the bottom of the track at all. And that's where he's really losing out a lot. You saw through 1 and 2, he wasn't able to maintain with the 3, but he didn't drop off too badly, and they got a nice run down the backstretch. But when he gets to 3 and 4, he just cannot turn the car down the track at all.
So this is Besaw and Dinkle that we're watching. We're on board with Dinkle. He's got a car underneath him, though. Matthew Long still hassling him for that position. There you see on screen as they head down into 1. He gets the nose ahead. He's still got to finish it. Looks like momentum going a little bit more towards the 501, but once again, having a tiny little correction as he exits turn 2.
Yeah, and he's kind of got this turn 3 and 4 just being really tight, under control, it seems, the past couple of laps. So I'm wondering if maybe he was just driving in way too deep before that, and it was making it look like he was really, really tight, because now he's able to maintain. He's getting pretty close here, though, with the 28. There's definitely not a lot of space being given by either driver in this fight.
Something we missed in all of this is that Holly's caught up to O'Brien, but he appears to be having trouble making the pass. It's dirty air is a bit of an issue for some drivers.
Yeah, and O'Brien has really not been able to maintain the pace of the leaders. He ran a 32.3 last time by. The leader ran 31.96, so he was 0.3 off. This time a little bit closer, about a 1/10.5 behind, but one driver who I'm not too surprised to see who's actually running the fastest pace right now, Robert Besaw Jr. in 5th spot. We've seen him clear the entirety of the midfield, get himself into the top 5 despite that minor incident he had, and he's got good pace. If there's a caution that brings him back into this fight, he might actually have race-winning pace.
Had another taker on pit lane. Patrick Cowgill is in his stall. So let's leave Holly for now. He's still definitely, unfortunately, in a stalemate. And Matthew Long has been in a bit of a stalemate as well. He's been side by side with a 501, but I think he's finally getting that done. Unfortunately for Dinkle, his woes are not over. Here comes Brandon Walter up the inside, seeing if he can do the same.
Yeah, his woes definitely are not over. There is an absolute train.
Oh, 3 wide. Down to the inside. That's Elliott White. Where did White come from? Holy cow. Well, as this group was fighting, did he just make up the time?
Yeah, I think he was just at the tail end of the line, and then when it all kind of just concertinaed up.
Oh, no.
Big incident.
And that is going to be Walter and Sumner. Oh, no. They were having such a good fight. Walter getting loose, Sumner being at the wrong place at the wrong time. And our first caution comes at a great time for the rest of the field to come in for tires and fuel. Charles, definitely an innocent victim on that case.
Yeah, like he just kind of got a little bit tight towards the end. Actually, like the 501 was the car who got tight, and then 99 was kind of preemptively moving down the racetrack. Initially, I was wondering if he just kind of got tight and had to pull it off the wall, but no, it looks like actually the 501 got tight. The 99 tried to move down to take advantage, and unfortunately the 98 was right there underneath it.
Both of them were able to get the cars going. And Walter giving an apology to Charles over the radio. Of course, I don't think he did anything really egregious there, just lost control. So, looks like most everybody coming in except for those who pitted before and are laps down. Oh, I take that back. Brandon Walter is staying out. Now, he was on the lead lap, was he not? No, Walter was
yes,
the one involved in the incident.
Yeah, that's a very strange decision to stay out. I imagine he's going to come down the second time.
It's got to be the case. That seems weird. But as they exit the pit lane, Acosta easily out first, Regan Jr. out second, O'Brien third, and Holly fourth, so no change there. Long back out in 6th position. And Elliott White out in 7th. Up from 19th on the grid. This seems a little bit more representative, but still impressive nonetheless, as we've only just finished the first third of this race.
we saw Junior was kind of the big loser in those pit stops. He's got a pretty slow stop time, about 2.3 seconds slower than Abner Acosta's stop time, so that's why he's fallen back to 8th. I imagine he was just getting a little bit of that damage fixed, and that's why.
Getting information that Sumner's got about 3.5 minutes of repairs. So he's likely going to get back out, but he'll be a couple laps down even with the caution. And you're right, Walter is in this time. That will keep him on the lead lap, but it'll put him at the back of the train. Right now, the last driver on the lead lap is James Durr. Patrick Cowgill stuck a lap down after he took an early stop. I think he's going to get that back here in a second. And actually, well, looks like Durr will too. Yeah, the 55 is trapped behind the pace car right now. There you see him on screen. Should be given that back, so he and Cowgill will return to racing with the leaders once they get the lights out. Hearing that Sumner's telling some of his crew that he thinks he's down on power after that hit. I think he's...
Be surprised.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big impact with the inside wall. Obviously, 3 minutes and 30 of damage is quite a lot. There's some insider information on when Bradley Holly might be pitting.
We're being told lap 96 to 98 is when we're expecting. We'll see if that actually plays out. Of course, that's always contingent on where the cautions fly, and you kind of have to work around those. This is only our second yellow of the evening. Now 50 laps into this event. Are we getting lights out on the pace car this time? Watching to see. And yes, lights are out.
Like I was taking a wave around, James Durr, one of them.
So this time the restart will have Acosta next to Regan Jr. And the note on those restarts and the start, the initial start can only go on the green, which is why Acosta held it so long that first one. From there, restarts are at the leader's discretion. So that is why we saw him just hold the field for so long coming up to that initial start. But now he can choose to go whenever he feels fit. That'll give him a nice, easy jump over everybody else, as long as he doesn't spin the wheels. But everybody's on fresh tires, eager and ready to go. Still waiting for that sun to go fully down. We're almost 8 p.m. virtual standard time, but it's been giving us some absolutely incredible views with the beautiful virtual clouds above this North Carolina track. Here goes the pace car. Mustang getting ready to peel in, giving Acosta's Camaro control. There it goes. He goes almost immediately. The 5 is away. Regan slots in behind him. In fact, top 4 already single file. 5th place going to follow suit, with Long being chased by White. Besaw Jr. Now he's got to make up a few spots with that slow pit stop.
Yeah, and going early is obviously a good decision for getting through 1 and 2 and making sure you're not going to have a car beside you. But then when you're running down the backstretch, you're quite vulnerable, actually. Regan Jr. not looking for the pass this time by, but definitely if we get a green-white checker, that's something to watch out for.
Who's trying to get his nose underneath him, and he is going to get his nose underneath him. The 46 side by side. Are we going to have another lead change here? He's got a nose ahead. The 5 continues to run that higher line. Can he carry the speed off the corner? Looks like he can. 46 starts to drop back. I don't think this is over, though.
No, but this pair have got to be careful to not burn up their tires. Big checkup by Bradley Holly right there.
And he looks very loose right now. So he was trying to make a move on O'Brien, had to check up, and then Matthew Long behind him also had to get out of the gas in a big way. And it looks like Regan did make the pass. Watching from Hawley. That's O'Brien in front of him. Car just drifting up to the outer wall out of 4. Coasting it nice and smoothly out there. Riding behind the 9. Who's going to decide to take the high line? Brad's going to take the low line, but they will not meet in the middle. Instead, Hawley's going to take 3rd.
Yeah, not too sure if Hawley was just let by right there. It doesn't look like it. James O'Brien is coming back on the top side, but just the way O'Brien kind of drifted up the track in 1 and 2, it made that pass quite easy.
Ooh, and Acosta's not interested in allowing Hawley underneath him. He covers down low, denies the 184 a shot at getting the nose in, which seems to work well for him. In fact, look at the bite off the corner. The 184 is going to do it without getting the nose under on the front stretch.
Well, we saw him be very, very loose through 3 and 4 at the start of the run, and that might be why. If he's able to rotate that well through 1 and 2, then that's probably going to contribute to being quite loose at the other end of the racetrack.
2 by 2. This is for 2nd place. Acosta, Hawley, Long, O'Brien, all losing time on Richard Regan Jr., who has now taken the lead. And coming through 1 and 2, not as quick for the 184 this time. Seems Acosta managed to find the legs exiting the corner, and that allows him to shut the door through 3 and 4.
Yeah, and all these drivers are going to be careful, though. Obviously, it is going to be quite a shortened run, so to speak. They're doing about 50 laps on this set of tires before they come in for their final stop, but you still don't want to burn them up too early on, because if you do, it'll probably hurt you actually the last 30, 35 laps of the run. You see the 184 really going for it right here, going to the outside of Acosta. He might even have a run on the 46 of Regan into 3 here.
Yeah, he gives him a little hello down into 3. So even if the bottom doesn't work, the 184 will make it work wherever, as he almost gets hit by the 5, who just manages to pull out of it in time. So Hawley right now is the quickest man on track, and he's just charging up to the back of the 46. Looks to the high side, doesn't quite work this time.
Yeah, and it's really a game of going only as fast as you need to go to maintain position, and that's the difficulty for Regan Jr. right here. Hawley might be pushing him to go faster, but he has to only just go fast enough to hold the position, and there's definitely an art to it, and it's very, very difficult, and that's what the best drivers out here are obviously the best at.
Hawley gonna go up high. This time he finds the grip, and he's gonna get a nose ahead. The 46 falls in behind. Does he slot up to that bumper? Yes, he does. Bradley Hawley now leads after Acosta effectively dominated the first stint. We have already changed the lead twice.
I don't think Acosta's out of this. I think we'll have to watch out for him later on in the run, but it's going to be interesting to see if Hawley is going to actually survive the latter part of the run. But having been as aggressive as he was at the beginning there, he's definitely going to have taken some life out of his tires.
Acosta now back into 5th, and Long wants a piece of it. He's attacking the 9. 9's going to give him space at the bottom. O'Brien moves into 4th as Long gets into 3rd. Now, last time, Long started to drop after a few laps. Suddenly, he's charging forward. Can he keep this up, though?
Oh, we had that first true pit stop that's going to have given everybody a read on what they needed to do after that first long run we had. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of changes for some of the drivers who are maybe dropping back a little bit. Trent Dinkel is kind of moving towards this group as well, and obviously we saw he was falling off towards the end of that first run.
Costa coming back at James O'Brien. Apologies to the midfields. We've been able to jump back a little bit in the last stint, but really so much of the action has been towards the front, including many of these cars. And Acosta is going to get the spot away from O'Brien. So that's 4th for him. Hawley still leads. Regan Jr. behind him, and Long rounding out your podium positions as we watch from the top of O'Brien's car.
Yeah, Richard Regan Jr. is going to get underneath Bradley Hawley now.
Ooh, and I think he might have this. Holly has been able to make it work on either side. But can Regan give him a taste of his own medicine? He hasn't finished it off. Keeps it at the quarter panel. The 184 going to try and continue to ride the long way. But through 3 and 4, eventually he's got to give it up. Another interesting note is that Holly is apparently saying on the radio that it feels completely different with air on it. Maybe that's why suddenly this car has come alive.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely will, and that's why being in the lead is kind of the position to be. It's obvious you always want to be the leader, but just in terms of aero, you are only really negatively affected if you're behind cars. Obviously, you pick up aero push, you lose downforce, and it makes it more difficult to pass the leader than it is for the leader to just maintain position. So that's why it's so key, especially on restarts, to maintain the lead, because if you don't, then you can actually just basically just fall straight through the pack just because of how different the car handles.
Here comes Acosta. He overtakes Long, puts himself back into third. Is this a new man? Is this the tire-saving Acosta that we've been seeing in the last couple rounds, or at least at Dover specifically, that has figured out the long-run pace? Because he may have let a few drivers by here at the start, but now he's reeling them back in. Last lap of 31.137 for Acosta compared to Regan's 31.281, about a tenth faster.
Yeah, and that's part of the game as well, is that if you know that you have a fast car and you know that you're inside the top 5, it's a question of how many cars do you allow by at the beginning of a run to try and save some tire so that you'll have the advantage for the late run without losing too many positions that you're never going to repass the cars that you've let by. So you can't fall outside of the top 5, but you can drop to the back of the top 5, as he did, and now you can see passing Bradley Holly on the top side out of turn 2.
Gets the shot off of the corner. Still not done. 84, the 184 clinging to it. Through 3 and 4, and eventually has to give it up. Second place for Acosta now. Half a second behind Richard Regan Jr. And we are very close to the halfway mark in this race. We're going to take a look behind them. This is O'Brien riding high that you see Trent Dinkle underneath him, and Elliott White still sitting in 7th, but looks like he has started to kind of fill in where his pace maybe should have put him.
Yeah, just about everybody is actually still in this fight, and that's kind of the crazy thing. Obviously, Richard Regan Jr. is the leader right now from Acosta, and they're kind of stretching away just a little bit, but I can still see all the way back to Robert Bissell Jr. He's back there in 8th, and he's only 1.7 seconds off the lead, so it's very, very tight here. This can definitely kind of swing anybody's way right now.
Ooh, speaking of tight, Matthew Long looked like he got tight. We're looking at 3 wide now. Diving underneath the 9 of O'Brien. The 501 of Trent Dinkle has found just the tiniest bit of space. Looks like he can't get the shot off the corner, though. That's going to allow Elliott White to come right back at him. He was trying to pass him about a lap ago. He'll give it another shot coming around the high side. Let's see if he can get this one done. It's looking like he's got a lot of speed, and there he goes.
Just about able to clear, but there's not really any option available for him ahead right here.
Yeah, but he shuts the door on the 501, making sure that Dinkle can't get back at him. The 9 once again fighting with Long. Long to the low side. And the 28 behind them, the 27 of Elliott White. Doing what we saw a few other drivers do before. Just wait, try to pick out who's got the better line. Where should I place it to get the position? He's going to decide low.
It's actually fortunate to get the overlap right there, because if he didn't, there's a possibility that he's just going to continue to bleed time. This battle has cost this group a lot. You can see that the front cars in this train have really just pulled away, and they've actually lost about 3 to 5 tenths just the past couple of laps.
White's not done with it. Looks like Long wants to try and fight back, but he can't do it. This moves Elliott up into the top 5 now. Where is he compared to the leaders? 2.5 seconds back from Richard Regan Jr. up at the point. But Acosta also hasn't caught Richard Regan Jr., which I thought he would, since he had been able to, not easily, but rather swiftly overtake Hawley, O'Brien, and others.
Yeah, and then once again, the top two cars have got a significant advantage on, say, third and fourth. The 31.3 for Richard Regan Jr. Bradley Hawley back in third, around a 31.8, so half a second slower. James O'Brien on the same team as Richard Regan Jr. around a 31.6, so 0.3 slower.
So there's the comparison between them. Yeah, Hawley definitely looking slower than Richard Regan, and actually by big chunks. He's down to full 2 seconds behind. They're going to go by Sumner. He's a lap down. You saw the 98 just staying out of the way. He's returned to the track, but he kind of knows where he sits after the severe damage that he copped from his incident. And Acosta has finally closed in a little bit. That may have been helped by the traffic. It was hovering at about 0.6 of a second. It's come down to 2.
Yeah, this is really a game between the pair of them as to who was going to wait it out the most in that battle that we had at the beginning. And we saw Acosta, he to the tail of the top 5. Regan Jr. kind of fought it a bit harder, got back to the lead earlier, got by Bradley Hawley, and now it looks like it's switched in Acosta's favor. It looks like kind of that hanging back strategy has been a better decision for him, and he's now going to have the late run speed.
It's getting plenty dark here. I'm kind of surprised we don't see the lights on yet. Should see them switch over pretty soon. Still hovering at about 0.2 of a second behind. And the man we saw also like the end of runs, Robert Besaw Jr., just managed to take 6th away from Long. Is this the start of the 3 trying to get up to the top 5?
So again, Besaw Jr.'s got really good late run pace. The only problem is it takes him just a little bit too long, I would say, to kind of extract it and get to that point. See that Charles Sumner up ahead, and I think he's got the chance to get to third by the end of this run, but I don't think he's going to have an opportunity to run down the pair of leaders that we have right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be pretty surprised if he did, just the way things have been going for him. But there's the 3 on screen in that 6th position. That was a lapped car that he just went by. That was Sumner.
I mean, the late run pace is definitely there for the 3, but the issue is he just loses out too much towards the beginning for it to kind of offset and come back in his favor.
So as we go on board, looking up ahead with Besaw Jr. now chasing Elliott White. And that is O'Brien and Hawley just in front of them. Oh, and Acosta just took the lead, or is trying to right now. He's down to the bottom side of the 46 through 1 and 2. Doesn't look like that one's going to work. He starts to fall back. Valuable information for Acosta, but our championship leader is going to stay cool even though he's under attack. He might lose the lead. Ooh. Did he touch the wall there?
Extremely tight right there. The 46 looked like he nearly got in the wall, but the 5 of Acosta just ran right up in front of him at turn exit.
Richard Regan's first win of the season came at Martinsville earlier on. He's looking for number 4 after he took 3 of them. I believe the other 2 for him were rounds. And my stats sheet just went haywire on me. Apologies. Here we go. Looks like rounds 5 and 6 were his other 2 wins here this season.
Looks like he's going to have to work for it if he wants this final win of the season, though. Acosta is proving a difficult customer to beat the past couple of weeks.
Ooh, and White is now on the move. James O'Brien going to be the next on his list. The 27 gets up to 4th. Is he going to bring the 3 with him? Because Besaw's watching it.
Gonna try. He's looking underneath the 9 right now. He might be there. It looks like he's going to be there as they get down into 3. If he can maintain momentum, he might have not an easy pass, but an easier pass at least.
Oh, still not done. He's holding on. The 9 trying to just cling to that top 5 spot, knowing that he's got good pace. He started this thing on the front row. The race has not been going his way, even though he has been up towards the front runners. Ooh, that was a big checkup in front of them. The 184 drifted way high, and he makes an absolutely easy pass for the 27. No, not quite. I spoke too soon.
27 was really, really easy on the entry to 3 right there. It's actually given a lifeline to Bradley Holly in the 184.
2 by 2. This is all to sort out 3rd place between this quartet. Last time he went in too hot. The 184 tries to go in hot again, but this time a little bit more measured. He keeps the nose ahead, and White can't do anything with it, as behind him, Besaw Jr. does claim the top 5.
The question is, can he follow White through if or when he passes Holly?
Cross to start lap 87 now. This is a never give up attitude from the 27 today. Oh, still trying it and still attacking, up from starting 19th and looking at a potential podium, but now he's got to worry about behind. The other hard charger of today, Robert Besaw Jr., is not willing to play favorites here, but he is willing to try and snatch things up when they go his way. In fact, he might snatch up 4th over the 27. The long way around of 3 and 4. Great move by Besaw.
Yeah, I took the opportunity right there. Saw the 184 get a little bit loose off of 2 last time by, but actually surprised that he's gone back down to the bottom. He's seen how difficult it was for the 27 to pass. I really thought that he would have tried to run the top and try to get to Holly's right rear quarter and just kind of pinch him down, but actually runs him up a little bit too much in the 3 that time.
Oof, we said it early on. It seems like aggressive driving, but credit to all the drivers. It's actually been very good aggressive driving that has not really resulted much in the way of issues. Oh man, and the 9 is really fallen away from the 27 now. O'Brien no longer a factor.
And Matthew Long grabbed the wall off of turn 2 right there.
Oof. Let's take another look at it. I think it was a very light brush.
Yeah, just clipped it right at the exit. It's very, very easy to do just as you kind of drop off the transition right there. You kind of almost get pulled towards the wall, and he's going to probably be frustrated with himself at that one, because that's one of those mistakes that you know can happen so easily and you always just try and avoid. But I don't think it's going to have done substantial damage to his car. It will have damaged the right side just a little bit.
Still watching him now down with Dinkel and Zemke, but looks like Elliott White and Robert Besaw Jr. are still going at it. This is the breathing space that Holly has been hoping for, and giving him some more wiggle room to try and dash away from the pair of them. But now, have they settled it out finally? Is Elliott White's charge going to continue?
Well, I think what it is that both of them are actually stuck behind Holly, and neither of them have been able to execute a pass on him. And every time they try, they kind of stall out their own run so much that the other one swaps position and goes back for another go.
So according to our information, we should see Holly pitting pretty soon. Oh, but he drifts up high, takes a glance in the mirrors, sees the 27 coming as he steers it down into 3 and 4. He's going to hold his line up on the high side, watching the hands. Almost looks like the steering is much more stable in the corners than it is on the straights, as that thing is constant corrections along the straightaways.
Yeah, he is having a time trying to just hold on to that car right now, and
Whoa.
I expect he's going to be pitting soon. And finally, Elliott White is able to actually clear him.
184 dancing up the track. Unfortunately, I don't think he's got his tap shoes on today, so he'll have to come in and get some new boots pretty soon. He's on lap 94 right now. Is he going to go down to fifth? Besaw Jr. spies an opening. He gets underneath him, down through 1 and 2. Still got to finish up the pass. Holly's got to be careful that he doesn't get stuck on the high side when he wants to pit.
Yeah, I think he's got the opportunity there to just drop back in behind if he wants it. But what's happened is that Holly's lost the big advantage that he had, which was the clean air on the nose out of this group. And as soon as the 27 of White was by-in, you could kind of see that the pace dropped off even more. And that pass for Besaw Jr. there was substantially easier than the initial pass made by White.
White's last lap, now that he's had clear air, 31.8. Our leader ran a 31.9 for what it's worth.
And they lost a lot of time in that battle, though. They're now 6 seconds off the lead, and that's definitely what Abner Acosta and Richard Regan Jr. would have wanted to happen behind them, because now it's made it a two-car fight at the front of the field if this stays green.
And Holly now has to deal with O'Brien underneath him. The 9 trying to take 5th place away from Bradley Holly. And he's supposed to be pitting, let's see, around 96, 98. We're on lap 96 right now. If I was Holly and I keep seeing places go away, I think I'd pit now.
Well, yeah, there's definitely the chance to kind of short pit, get some of those positions back, but as we've seen in past races, that can easily go against you if you short pit, drop the lap, and then a caution comes out.
Oh, and it sounds like the 98 of Charles Sumner has lost his engine. He's in pit lane. I think that's going to be day over for him. There you see, having taken that mangled Tropicana car up to his crew. And we got the call that Holly is pitting. Ooh, he's coming in very hot here. Can he make it? Looks like he's got it down in time. This is the first of our takers.
Yeah, not too surprised. He was the one who was kind of falling back the most, but this is a risk. Obviously, if a caution comes out, this is going to trap him a lap down, and then that's going to totally pull him out of that top 5 fight.
Long's going to respond to him. Matthew Long pitting in. He'll be going in from 9th position. There's the 28 on screen, keeping down low.
Besaw Jr. looks like he's coming in as well, along with James O'Brien.
Yep, so it's all kicking off. There's Holly's stop time. We're watching Long to see how he does comparably.
I don't really think that those drivers around Bradley Holly had much of a choice but to respond. Obviously, they saw how hard it was to pass him in that run. They don't want to drop back behind him and have to pass him again. So they, for Besaw Jr. and obviously the 9 of O'Brien, they just come down just to try and cover that off and hope that they come out ahead of him.
And Regan's in as well. So let's see, where's Holly at? Holly is 17th. He's just getting his lap back from, or at least a lap back from Regan, not from our leaders yet, as they have not pitted. He's going to easily jump past Besaw and O'Brien.
And that right there is misery for those two drivers. I can tell you that. They are not going to want to see that. They know how difficult it was to pass Holly that first long run behind him. They are not going to relish the idea of having to do it again.
White is in. Over the radio, he asked for more tape. So we'll see if he finds that helps his handling that little bit more here around the track. In the meantime, look at Holly just flying. Everybody looking like they're standing still.
Yeah, and he's fighting just to try and get himself back on the lead lap so that he's not in that position to get trapped a lap down if the caution does come out. So that's why he's pushing hard. Obviously, the difference in tires is massive as well.
Oh, Acosta's pitted. He's coming back out. Where is Regan? Regan's coming up behind him, but I think Acosta has covered it off. We're on board with Holly. And he just went past Elliott White, who returns in 9th, but we still have a couple more cars that need to pit.
Yeah, and Acosta had about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds on Richard Regan Jr., so the advantage was definitely to him, and it does look like he's come out ahead, so that's really going to make it a challenge now for Regan Jr. to win this race.
A little more than 40 laps to go. This should be able to take them to the end of this race. They're going to put another lap on the 99 of Brandon Walter, who still needs to take his second stop. We're also waiting on Colton Lane, Jose Acosta, and I think that is it of the drivers that we need to see come into pit for things to cycle back through. Ooh, all over the back of the 5, though. Richard, whoa! Did he give him a tap there?
It definitely looked like he did. It looked like he kind of pushed him off into the corner just a little bit.
That looked like a little bit of the chrome horn from the 56. And that gave him the spot over the 5. Acosta, again, not really in the championship. So does he try and fight back? Regan just needs a decent finish here. Where is his rival, actually? O'Brien's in 9th. Yeah, and I don't think O'Brien even could take the championship from there, frankly.
No, it doesn't seem likely, and I'm actually surprised that Acosta is trying to push to get this position back. He's got the tire advantage. He could afford to wait this out, wait maybe 10, 15 laps, and then potentially have an easier pass.
Also bad news for fans of Cervantes. He missed his pit box, so he's going to lose even more time. Colton Lane has now come in. So Jose Acosta and Michael Witt are the remaining 2 in front of them. Both still need a pit stop. They're not able to make it to the end from here. There's Jose Acosta. In fact, they're on 56 and 54 laps into this stint. Oh, and Witt just hit the wall. Witt nearly spun off the backstretch. No caution.
I'd imagine he's going to pit this time for sure.
Now, Acosta had a go at Richard. Couldn't quite get past him. Did he use it up trying to make that overtake? Or will he still have something later on? We saw him manage to really fly up to the front after he almost played possum there and managed to overtake the 46. Is he doing it again? Is he just biding his time?
Definitely think that the advantage is towards him. He's got 1 lap fresher tires right now. He doesn't really need to be pressuring Regan Jr. at this point.
So we had Witt come in, but we're still waiting on Acosta. Lap 58 of his stint.
Cervantes with an incident off of turn 2. Not sure who he had contact with, but he had heavy door-to-door contact coming off the corner.
I think it was Lane. Oh, Lane's going to get loose and chase the car all the way around the corner, and poor Cervantes is the one that comes upon him.
You see, obviously behind on corner entry, yeah, Lane just crosses over onto the apron and then chasing it all the way to exit. Cervantes just not able to avoid him. Ends up down in the wall to add misery to his day after already missing the pit box. And interesting pit entry right there as well.
As he decides to take a tow, that might be day over for Acosta. Or not Acosta, for Cervantes is Acosta. Jose Acosta leads this race by about 10 seconds. He cannot get to the end, I don't think, can he?
No, there's no way. There's no way he gets to the end of the race. If he can, he'd be able to do something like 95 laps on a tank of gas, and I know for sure that you can't do that.
So he's still rolling. What is his pace like, actually? And he is running not slow laps, but not a hot pace. 32 4s, 32 3s. So he might be saving a little bit, but I'm with you. I don't think you can stretch it that ridiculously long. compared to everybody else. And even if he did try, he's certainly not going to take the win because it's been coming down hand over fist between himself and Regan.
Yeah, they're catching him about over a second and a half a lap, so he's definitely not going to retain this. Even if he could magically make it to the end of the race, he's not going to win.
Patrick Cowgill pits for his last stop. He's not been having the greatest day. Holly and White, with White having just put on some fresh tape, are trying to decide the fourth position. This should be for third.
Yeah, Biso Jr. is now going to be joining this fight. It's going to be relief for White, though. He was able to get that pass done coming off of 4.
They're watching from Bisaw's rig now. There's a little bit of that motion rig affecting his camera. Oh, and Acosta, did he have a go at the 46? I think he had to think about it. Oh, and he's going to have another think about it. He's going to get to the inside. Is this the time to make his move? He manages to get fully alongside him. Coming off the corner, though, he cannot drift up. Back to the momentum in favor of Richard Regan Jr. Inching forward, beating him to the line by thousandths of a second. Back into 1 and 2. Still on the bottom side. Shorter line for Abner Acosta. Not always the greatest shot off the corner. Doesn't matter. He drifts up. Acosta back in what we believe will be the lead as soon as Jose in front of him comes down to the lane.
Yeah, really assertive pass as well right there. Didn't really mess around. Didn't get stuck alongside him for a long amount of time. Got alongside him in one turn. Got it done in the next one. So really nice job.
We're on lap 65 of Jose's stint. And they're approaching him. You can't quite see it from this onboard with Regan, but he is just ahead of that red number 39 of David Wilson. There he is now, being overtaken.
And pitting.
Lets him go. Acosta re-inherits the lead. He's starting on pole for only the second time this season. First one came at a road course. He backed himself up with great performance here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And now he finds himself leading towards the end as Bisaw Jr. is able to get past Holly for 4th.
Yeah, they were really tight to each other's door coming through 3 and 4 last time by. It was very, very close. But Bisaw Jr. able to actually get this done coming through 1 and 2 this time.
Down into 1, he's got the inside line. 184 can't do much about it. Bisaw really good at the end of a stint. White as well. He's up to 3rd place, but he battled so much he's still 6 seconds down. However, remember when we speculated that Acosta maybe was just saving his stuff, letting Regan lead the way? Look at the gap between them after just, what, 3 or 4 laps ahead? Almost a full second past him.
Yeah, he's completely checked out now. He's running over a 10th a lap faster.
Any championship hopefuls next season, beware this man. He is going to go for 3 wins in a row after he was bone dry for wins for seasons here on the ovals in the Precision Racing League. And he has now found his groove. He's still got to finish up this race, but right now that 5 is a rocket ship.
Yeah, and it's really impressive to see, you know. Obviously, we've known that he's had good pace for a while, but it's not ever actually quite been able to get the result and execute the full race. And just the second half of the season is just, it's all come together for him, and it's really, really impossible to beat him at this point. And it's great to see. I'm glad to see that we've got drivers who are able to take the fight to Richard Regan Jr. We've seen him be so dominant realistically for the past year. And now it looks like his own teammates are the ones really taking it to him.
From the master to the apprentice, who appears to be becoming the master with about 25 laps to go for our leader, currently full 1.1 second ahead. We're understanding over the radio, Holly's complaining about his right front being gone. So that might explain why he wasn't able to hold back Besaw. Might even fall victim to James O'Brien, who at this stage, if they finish where they are, definitely will not be champion. And Richard Regan Jr. will lock that one up. Ooh, that was a little scary there behind our leader. That was David Wilson having a close moment with the wall. I haven't looked at Trent Dinkle in a bit. He's been close to Zemke for much of this stint, but for the time being, the 501 holds the advantage with 7th place over the 57.
Both these drivers actually in the exact same position that they started the race, and they've kind of been up and down across the board, but have somehow ended up back where they started.
Ooh, and apparently something we missed, that Brandon Walter nearly spun his car. That could have brought out a caution and changed a lot of things. Yeah, he got loose. We don't really have a replay. I don't think this is a couple laps ago, but the 99 had to make quite a save. He's still running, but he's in 19th. And as soon as I say that, we got a caution. That's Scotty Johnson and the 42 of Jose Acosta, along with Pat Harvey. So this starts with Scotty in the 07, it looks like.
Yeah, and Jose Acosta is just to his left rear right there. Pat Harvey joining the action late on.
I believe that's what the kids call ARCA brakes right there. And unfortunately, 2 other drivers paying the price for that one.
Wow, when you look at it from the onboard, just not really much where Pat Harvey could have gone right there. But yeah, definitely a strange incident right there. It looked like it was just a mistake, and drivers not necessarily being quite sure of where everybody was positioning wise, and unfortunately getting together on entry to 3. But that's not what our 2 leaders are going to want to have seen. Obviously, Acosta had checked out, and now everybody's back in the mix.
I would think everybody for tires right here would. That'd be my call, at least. What about you, Christian?
Yeah, I would, but it's that point in the race where it's difficult because it's 20 to go, and everybody only has 1 set remaining. So yeah, you definitely want to put them on. You've been on the current set for over 20 already. If this goes green to the end, and you didn't pit, then you would definitely, there's no way that you would win. But if there's a late race yellow with 10 to go, anybody who's managed to save a set is going to have a big advantage.
Well, the one who wants to save a set is Colton Lane. He's the only driver on the lead lap that has stayed out. I think Harvey stayed out, but he had a weird spin by pit entry. First off of pit road is Acosta, followed by Regan Jr., Elliott White, Bradley Hawley, and Robert Besaw Jr. So really no change there in your top 5 who were leading before those pit stops. Let's see if Colton Lane made a mistake, or if he really intends to try and hold out in case we get another caution.
We've seen drivers in the past will pit on the second time by. He might be doing that. He's definitely got a set left that he can use.
Okay, well, we'll find out in just a few hundred feet. And obviously that damaged car in front of him is Pat Harvey. So let's see what happens here as pace car goes by. A few cars you can see trying to get their lap back. Yeah, okay, so that was a mistake from Colton Lane. He's going to elect to come in and take some tires. This is a bit of a toss-up, though. I'm with you in that the chances are still not necessarily high, but risky on there being the possibility of another caution. And we both know yellows breed yellows often. So, yeah, that is uncomfortable. And I mean, I guess the good news is that with Colton coming in, I don't think there's anybody else that can take tires. No, Cowgill still is on 2 stops, it looks like, because since he stayed out to get his lap back.
Yeah, he's the only one really who's, well, Jose Acosta is also another driver who has a set remaining but is also a lap down. So yeah, it turns out that that is actually kind of a non-issue because everybody pits and now nobody's got any tires left and who's on the lead lap. But there are a couple of drivers that, if there is another caution, could maybe actually spoil this.
Well, yeah, since they're all getting their laps back, that'll make life interesting. James Durr is in there too, but he's 4 laps down, so he won't be in contention. I'm kind of surprised. Can we get the cameras on the 42 of Jose Acosta? He was involved in that wreck, wasn't he? And I'm not really seeing... Oh, there's the damage. It's on the back. Okay. I was like, where is the damage on that car? I thought he was in a big one.
Yeah, he has the rear panel damage. I think that was from when Pat Harvey arrived late on. I'm surprised he doesn't have more front end damage though.
Yeah, that's kind of what I expected.
Retired after that incident.
So that actually makes a surprisingly few amount of retirees. Thomas Roberts, Joao Guerra, Charles Sumner, Danny Cervantes, and Scotty Johnson. Brandon Walter is still out there running. The last one running, he's in 19th. He should inherit a spot, though. As we go double file, the lap down cars will circle back around to join up. We're going to go racing for less than 20 laps to go. So Acosta's good on the long run. This, I don't think this really counts as a long run, does it? Is he good on a short-ish run?
Well, I think we're definitely going to see absolute flat-out pace from this point onwards. You don't really have a choice. You just got to go for it.
Can he make it a three-peat between Dover, COTA, and Charlotte Motor Speedway? Definitely 3 different tracks. Unique courses compared to one another. And that is, if anything, a sign not only of the speed, but the versatility of that speed for the 5. If he can seal the deal. Here goes the pace car. Remember, the 5 now gets to decide when he goes. There he goes. Gets a little bit of a jump over the 46. Not a huge one. Enough that he is going to be clear by the time they get to the first corner.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be vulnerable going down into 3, though. And Elliott White not able to get underneath the 46 of Regan Jr., but he's going to have a shot as well coming out of the backstretch.
Well, the 3 starts to lose it. He's going to hit the wall, but he's not going to come into the racing line. It looks like we won't have a caution, but that might be Besaw's incredible run come to an end.
Yeah, that's really disappointing for Besaw Jr. right there. He was having such a good run. Obviously, he had such a great long run pace car, and just an unfortunate mistake coming off of turn 2 right there has really ended any chance of a top 5 for him.
I think this 27 might be a dark horse. He's been quick all day. He came from the very back of the fields. We're going on board with Elliott White now. What a cast of characters up here at the front. Holly, White, Regan, and Acosta all have become major players over the past few years here in the Precision Racing League's NASCAR Cup Series. And Holly is almost pushing the 27 along.
Yeah, very loose himself, though. He's now dropped back, and he's got the 9 of James O'Brien to his outside. That's why he's not running up, and I think he might have actually lost his shot at winning this race.
Good news for the 5 is bad news for the 46. The 27 is feeling feisty, and he wants second place. This is going to give a gap to Acosta as Richard Regan Jr. is discovering the man that came from all the way in the back of the field is not going to be denied by poor qualifying and a poor practice. He gets down underneath him. Can he complete the pass, though? He's almost got it done. Still behind them. Here comes O'Brien back charging to the outside of the 184 as well.
Yeah, O'Brien not able to get it done running that 3rd lane, but once again, we're just seeing drivers struggling to get the pass done on the bottom. Elliott White still stuck underneath Regan Jr. This is great for Abner Acosta. He's getting the gap that he needs without really having to push to keep it.
This is coming early for the 5. Oh, and the 46 washed up way up high, brushes the wall. He keeps it together with the lightest of touches. The 27's got the speed. He's not fully clear quite yet. Oh, how is he going to get this spot? If he can't do it with that, he clips the bottom.
And almost the reverse right there. Regan Jr. loose in 1 and 2, and Elliott White loose in 3 and 4.
This has been a boon to Acosta, up to half a second ahead of them now. Closing in on 10 laps to go. If White's got the speed, he's got to get this job done soon.
Yeah, and it's looking like it's going to be difficult for him to get that opportunity again. I don't think Regan Jr. is going to make that same mistake twice.
I don't think Regan's even thinking about the championship at this stage. He just wants to get himself a win and is trying his darndest to hold off the 27. Shuts the door mid-corner in 1 and 2, and Holly finding the tiniest of gaps, but now he's boxed in.
He's trying to make the top side work. We've seen that he's able to defend up there. Now can he attack up there?
Drifting up behind, the 27 has to give up the ghost. Holly gonna get into 3rd as Regan still retains 2nd. So while everybody keeps fighting amongst themselves, Acosta is going to take the chance to continue to pull away. Here's your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th drivers on screen.
Holly looking to the top side again. He wasn't able to get it done in 1 and 2, and not able to get there in 3 and 4 either, but he's getting closer pretty much every time at corner exit.
And how about Trent Dinkle? Back into it. He's in 6th. He's been helped along by these 4 squabbling and could maybe snatch up a position. Oh, things have calmed down now. It went from 0.5 of a second down to 3.5 tenths. Richard Regan Jr. is on the charge.
Yeah, and I got to think that Acosta's just been kind of using that battle behind him to just save a little bit. He's going to allow Regan Jr. to get close, but I think when it gets down to 5 to go, he's just going to pull the pin and he'll be out of there.
Down to 9 to go already. As the top 3 have gone single file, it's still a battle between White and O'Brien. Looks like White will retain that 4th spot. Or will he? Here comes the 9 again. It's going to try the inside this time. Across the line, 9 has the advantage. He'll get scored in 4th place, at least for that lap. Oh, the 27 not liking the high side through 1 and 2. He starts to fall back. Can he come back off the corner? Just barely, almost loses it. Oh, good heads up by O'Brien. Just giving him enough space.
And 27 actually got a much better run than I was expecting off the corner there, able to keep the fight going. But how long can he last up there? 501 of Trent Dinkle is just trying to decide who to pick as to who he's going to follow.
Dinkle's going to get tired of this pretty soon. He wants a spot too if he can just find the track space. They finally go single file. Does he pounce now? He thinks about it. Up to the quarter panel of the 27. He's got his nose in, chucks it into turn 3, and that'll put him into 4th.
Yeah, and a ton of grip right there from the front end of the 501, able to actually keep that down. And how much he kind of shot it off in there. I was expecting to see him wash up, but he didn't.
And even Dinkle's going to get by Elliott White. So after continuing to make overtake after overtake, Elliott seems to have finally run out of juice, being hounded by so many cars from behind. The gap has not gone down at the front. Still 0.3 between Acosta and Regan. You were right, I think, Christian. It looks like he's simply managing things.
Yeah, there's just so much to be gained by just managing, especially at this racetrack. And when I saw that fight developing behind him, I figured that just moves the advantage so much to Acosta. He's able to not run as hard but maintain pace, and I think it's going to be very difficult to do anything against him now.
Cars staying down on the bottom. They're laps down, trying to stay out of the way. 17 still running here out of our 23 starters. 5 laps to go. As they come down to the line, it still retains that 0.3 of a second. Holly, ever since he's got into the clear, doesn't seem to have enough oomph to run down those top two.
It looks like he's going to maintain that third spot, though. O'Brien's not been able to run him down. He's kind of fallen back, actually. He might actually be under threat from Trent Dinkle here.
Yeah, Dinkle's looking very good. Love's just absolutely sending it into the turn. But as much as he gains on entry, the exit seems to be his Achilles heel. As they come through 1 and 2, there's our leader, the number 5. Up ahead by 0.3 of a second. Remember, we talked about the tape that went on to White's car at one of the stops. Apparently, it backfired a bit. Maybe that's why he's dropping back some. His engine's temperatures were getting too high, we're hearing.
Yeah, and I think at this point, you just kind of got to run it out and hope it doesn't let go.
That is a real shame after such a fast car all race long. Unfortunately, flew a little bit too close to the sun today. The 5 getting the white flag this time by, still 0.3 of a second, and Regan's hustling the car. It slid all the way off of turn 4. He's trying to get everything he can out of it, just so that he can say he gave it his all. As we ride on board with who we expect to be the championship after this. Look at him have to catch the car. Oh, he's run out of it. He doesn't have anything left. And Acosta, after winning at Dover, after jumping over to home turf with a road course, taking 2 victories in a row, he's going to complete it with 3 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway at the finale. And Richard Regan Jr. follows him in second, clinching championship.
And 3 wins on 3 different tracks to end the season. That's definitely got to make him a contender going into season 3.
Poor Elliott White was behind Dinkle by less than 1/10 of a second at the line. He had to settle for 6. Still quite a climb that he should be proud of. And I think we're seeing a lot of pride right here, as I'm sure this man is beaming inside that cockpit right now. He'll do a little bit of a celebration at the front. Give us some donuts, Abner, as we take a break. We're coming back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. It was a three-peat for Abner Acosta in the Precision Racing League NASCAR Cup Series. 3 wins on the trot at the end of the season. Unfortunately, it was a little too late in terms of the championship because Richard Regan, who finished second behind him, became our champion today. Bradley Hawley rounded out the podium with James O'Brien, who was trying to beat Richard Regan, having to settle for 4th. I think that clinched second in the championship for him. Potentially, unless Acosta was able to overtake him in points. Trent Dinkle was P5 with Elliott White in 6. Adam Zemke P7 today with Matthew Long finishing behind him in 8th. Colton Lane in P9. And Baron Hilton, I think that makes up for his run in the trucks as he finished in the top 10.
David Wilson Jr., last driver on the lead lap back in 11th. Pat Harvey did come home 12th, despite being involved in that late race incident. Patrick Cowgill, another driver, just 1 lap down, 13th. Jose Acosta also in that late race incident. He comes home in 14th. And then James Dewar, 4 laps down in 15th, and Michael Witt in 16th. Brandon Walter showed promise at the beginning of the race, but unfortunately got involved in an incident with Charles Sumner early on, comes home 17th. Robert Bissell Jr., he was so strong on the longer on pace, but just made that mistake on that last restart, and unfortunately for him, he comes home back in 18th. Scotty Johnson, also in that late race incident, he comes home 19th. Danny Cervantes, he had a good race going, and then it all turned bad all in one go, and unfortunately for him, he comes home 20th. Charles Sumner, the engine let go, he comes home 21st. Joao Guerra and Thomas Roberts round out the race in 22nd and 23rd.
That brings us to our winner, Abner Acosta. Abner, that is 3 in a row. You must be over the moon today.
Yeah, I'm very happy with everything. Yeah, 3 in a row. Definitely after the first half that I had, it's really good. Plus, looks like we're really outpacing everybody else, us and the private label Team Hype guys. So yeah, it's really good.
Well, it seemed like you had quite a good bit of pace at the end of your stints because we noticed that you seemed to maybe hang back a bit, even give some spots up early, and then suddenly you were a rocket ship. Was that the case? Were you kind of managing the tires there early on?
I think I was driving consistently the same the whole race. I guess just the setup was just built that way. I was actually fighting when I was getting past. I was trying to fight everybody to keep the spots, but I couldn't do it. And then after like 10, 15 laps or so, I was just faster than everybody else, even after fighting them. So I guess it's just the setup. I wasn't really super saving. I was just driving consistent the whole race.
Wow. So that was incredible to watch, knowing that you were able to take at least 3 victories back to back like that. Do you aim to come back next season and see if you could challenge Regan for the crown?
Yeah, I'm definitely coming back next season, but that's still up in the air. I'm gonna have my first child here in the next 2-3 weeks, so I don't know how that's gonna affect my schedule. So who knows? I might be like a part-time. It all depends. See how that goes.
Well, you're not alone. We've had a few drivers that couldn't defend crowns for that reason. So congratulations on the win, and also congratulations on the upcoming family member, sir.
Thank you. Have a good night. And I want to thank everybody at Team High Private Label, Tomahawk, Ethica, GSRC for hosting, and PRL for hosting the league as well. Thank you.
It's Abner Acosta, your winner here today. Christian, however, has caught up with the man who won the war, Richard Regan Jr., your new champion.
Richard, I'm not too surprised to see you win another championship in the league. Obviously, you've been extremely strong over the entire past year, really, but it looks like you've now got a teammate to fight for these race wins, and we heard from him that he's going to potentially be a little bit out of the game next season, but if he is around, it looks like you got some challenge, right?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, my mic was muted.
All good, man. And yeah, like obviously you picked up the championship, and kind of the past couple of weeks, obviously Coda, you were back there in 6th spot, but mile and a halves have kind of been your deal pretty much ever since we've seen you in this league. And now you've got a teammate Acosta. He's obviously able to run you hard on the mile and a halves. And how does that kind of change your approach going through? Obviously your teammates and whatnot, and you guys work together on the car, and you as a pair have just really been dominant the past couple of races, just absolutely checked out on the field.
Yeah, I've been struggling the last month with some wheel settings, and I got new pedals, and they weren't really working right. It was kind of more, instead of my brake being a brake, it felt like a switch. There's like some debris in it, so I had to get new pedals. But yeah, I got doored early tonight, and then I got put in the wall later. So once you get damaged, you can't really do nothing. You take away all that side force on the right side, which is the most important side, and that's pretty much it. But Abner's a good driver, and he's been making a lot of progress. But yeah, I think if I didn't get put on the wall tonight, I would have had him for sure.
I'll definitely have to hope for some more battles with him going into Season 3. Hopefully he can be around, and we definitely look forward to it. Just watching you guys kind of run it out was definitely a great race tonight, and thank you guys for putting that on and obviously being able to run as close as you were for the end part of the race without any contact. But you got to be happy to pick up another championship, right? I say another championship. It just seems almost routine at this point.
I wouldn't say routine. Last year, the big championship I lost, I got sloppy at the end of the year. These season championships are cool, but I want the yearly championship. I don't know if I'll be able to defend for Season 3. I got a lot of real racing coming up, so I'm going to be doing this part-time instead, but we'll see what happens.
Well, we wish you all the best with the real racing, but before we let you go, anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, James O'Brien, Brandon Walter, Ty Stover, Tommy Milner, everybody at Private Label, Team Hype, Ethica, Susan G. Coleman, Multiple Sclerosis Society, Oculus Glasses, Neonism Paints. I had Robert Hendricks on the car tonight, who passed away in Iraq. So it's good to get a good finish for him.
Well, thank you for coming and chatting with us tonight. Congratulations on the season championship.
That takes us to our third place finisher, Bradley Hawley. And Brad, it seemed like you were kind of up and down today, but you also looked like you had quite a loose car at times. What was it like inside the cockpit?
Definitely loose. That first run, I think I saved a little too much and was tight, and realized I needed to drive the car a little harder to get loose, and it was quite fun.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was fun or scary for you there as we watched you battle back and forth. Also understood that you had some temperature problems there at the end as you were fighting with Elliott White. What happened? How did that happen?
I increased the tape during the green, I think the green flag stop or the first caution pit pit stop, and with the way these cars are, I mean, you suck up to somebody and you're close to somebody long enough, it's going to overheat. And given how hard we were pushing towards the end of that rate in the last 20 laps, I didn't want to give up space. So I don't think I got over 282, but it was still a little bit of a concern.
Now that Acosta seems to have gotten his sea legs on the oval side, do you feel concerned seeing the way that he has just kind of been trouncing people these last 3 rounds?
Oh, he's always been a good driver. It's just a matter of time before he got a win. I'm surprised it took this long.
Yeah, I kind of concur. It seems like that talent is overflowing over there. Another podium for you today. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for this one?
I think the Waterback guys, we practice week in, week out, and try to figure out what we need to do to be up front and try to go for a win. You guys for broadcasting us week in and week out, and the PRL. We have a great league, and I'm looking forward to moving forward.
That was Bradley Hawley in third, not wearing his lucky shirt today, but a very patriotic shirt instead. So we've now got Christian talking to our team champions.
Well, guys, you didn't manage to pick up good results necessarily yourselves tonight. Obviously, James, you were there inside the top 5 and not able to contend for the win, but you picked up the team's championship. Can you guys tell us a little bit about how you did that?
Yeah, where'd Richard go? He's still hiding over there. Oh, there he is. Richard, how do we do it?
What do you mean?
How do we win the team championship?
I don't know.
No, winning races? I don't know, just being consistent and clean and trying just to keep the cars in one piece. And if somebody missed a race, it kind of fell on the shoulders of somebody else. I missed Coda last week. I was out of town, and it was just teamwork. I don't know. Building sets together, that was kind of our main centerpiece. Like I would try to make a set during the week, and then later in the week I would hand it off to them to kind of polish, and their input helped a lot. Like if it was just me doing it, we probably wouldn't have anything close to where we're at.
It's definitely been working out. I mean, obviously you guys as a group, you've kind of become the team to beat. Obviously the championship says that, but you know, whenever it kind of comes down to it, you're always there contending for poles. You're always there picking up race wins, and I mean, you don't just kind of take it by a couple of points. You absolutely dominate the championship. I mean, you had it wrapped up before you even came into the final round, and it's kind of been that way realistically for the past couple of seasons. We know that we're always going to see you at the front, and is that going to continue going through into season 3? We obviously had a couple of you guys are maybe going to have a couple of distractions, so to speak, but we hope that as a team and as a force, we'll see you still here.
Well, Brandon, I think, is going to get some family time the first week, but otherwise, I shouldn't be missing any races. Richard's got bigger things to worry about, you know, but typically I'm always around, so I think we'll still be pretty good, pretty solid for season 3. I don't see anything in season 4, but that's still quite a ways away, but we just take it one race at a time.
It's definitely good to hear, and we enjoy having you guys in the series. Obviously, as I said, you put out some good competition and pick up a lot of race wins, and we want to give you the opportunity to give a shout out to all your sponsors, all your guys who support you before we let you go.
Yeah, man. First, Brandon and I had our old friend Peter Wagoner on our car tonight. He took his own life back in 2013, I believe, and he was a specialist corporal. So we both raced with him on the car tonight, but we same old guys, you know, private label. They're awesome company. They've been on board with us for the whole tenure. Ethica as well, and I think we're trying to pick up Tomahawk sunglasses soon. They've been poking around with us and doing good. And then Reaper Speed Lab has been helping us out with sets for bases for us to build off of, and just Ty and Tommy that run the whole show behind the scenes, and Abner for helping with the sets. I know he's kind of on a satellite team, but he helps a ton too. And it shows, like 3 races in a row. That's not easy to do, especially with Richard out there and Brad and everybody else. Yeah, I don't know if Brandon wants to say anything.
I just want to thank my teammates for helping and coaching me. I'm definitely not the fastest of the you know, basically 3 other guys, but I just am trying to improve week to week, and these guys help me try to keep my cool. I've been trying to, you know, just keep calm on the radio more often, and just try not to overdrive everything. You know, it's awesome that these guys, Ty and Tommy, have given me a chance to run with these boys week after week, and it's a lot of fun. I just, you know, I gotta, like I said, thank all the sponsors and thank my friends and family that watch every week, even though I don't have the best results. And I gotta apologize to Charles Sumner tonight. I ruined his race. We were up there with a bunch of cars battling for top 10s, and I got loose and had nowhere to go. So, but I can't wait for season 3. I am gonna miss the season opener. I'll be out of town, but gonna hit every race after that. We're just gonna try to get another team championship, and just do what we can, you know.
I'll definitely be looking out for it. And yeah, as you say, obviously tonight didn't work out, but we've seen you making good progress throughout the season, and we wish you all the best.
That was our team winners, and of course we've got to wrap up as well, so a big thank you to the Precision Racing League for bringing us back for another season of coverage. But also we want to thank our sponsors, including SimMSA. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SimMSA.net. And of course, get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance at NinjaTrader.com. And finally, you can feel what you've been missing at TheButtKicker.com. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Go and check out her Bandcamp to see more of her work. Thanks to the team today, Christian, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media. We've got the outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. And if you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store, simply simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC, because our next race is a couple weeks from now, but we'll be back Sunday, June 20th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern for the PRL NASCAR Cup Series. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.